Well, hello everybody. Just want to say thank you very much for joining me today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Joel Windsor, and I'm coming to you from my own studio in my house. So it's kind of the way that things are going these days. I'm here to share with you, all those Music Festival Suite subscribers, about some of the new things that we've got for you for this coming festival year. Knowing that there's been a lot of challenges over the past little bit. It's been a heck of a go, and yeah, I actually have had been thinking of you guys often, particularly for all the heartbreak for having to cancel festivals and have all those students put such hard work into their performances. I know it was heartbreaking to have to cancel, and but I also know it was for our for public safety and all that, and it was important for us to do. But we also know that music education is probably going to be the one biggest thing that brings us as a community back out of this into whatever normalcy looks like in the future. So we want to make sure that we, from the musicfestivalsuite.com team, give you all the tools that you can possibly do to make sure that your festivals can still operate and you can continue to give those amazing musical learning opportunities to your students. So this is a YouTube Live. I haven't done a lot of YouTube Live, so this is kind of a bit of an experience for me. But I believe if you're actually on YouTube, you should be able to see the chat window, or if you're on the musicfestivalsuite.com page, you should be able to see the chat window there as well. I'm going to invite all those of you who are actually currently watching just to quickly drop me a little message on there, make sure that I know that you are kicking around and that you can say hello, even if it is just simply a little hello like this one right here, and it'll pop up. Which side of the screen is it going to pop up on? It's going to pop up on that one, that one, that right there. So please feel free to send me a quick little hello on that chat message. Make sure that I know you're here. Thank you very much again for joining. As I said, you're kind of coming to me from my own studio, so it's kind of in a bit of a transition period right now. We're kind of getting some different instruments in here and gonna give me a new office space to work with. But yeah, still looking for a couple of those chats, so please feel free to try that out. If it's not working for you for whatever reason, there's a Lethbridge person. Great to see. Thank you very much. If it's not working for you for whatever that reason may be, please feel free to send me an email instead. I can see those guys pop up here as well. As a matter of fact, I'll just make sure that that's up on my screen right now to make sure that I know what's going on. And that way I can get all of your questions answered while we're going along here. Knowing that some of you have, of course, busy lives, I'm also going to be recording this, and so you're going to see all of my uhs and ums and my stutters and half steps as I go through this. But I wanted to make sure that this was available to you after this is all said and done, so that if you're like, I forget, where am I supposed to click that in? That's right, that's where. Hello to Greater Victoria. It's kind of really hard on my screen to see who that is, so I'm going to be clicking through to see there. We got Megan from Lethbridge, we got Fuchsia from the Greater Victoria region. Glad to have you guys with us. Thank you so much. I hope you have coffee, because we're going to go through a few things, and if I'm going too fast, please feel free to just throw a little message on there saying, hey, slow down. I don't mind doing that at all. I can be as fast or as slow as you need me to be. So, big changes. So what Music Festival Suite saw as the challenge was venues were suddenly no longer available. If venues aren't available, that's going to make things very challenging for festivals. Not only that, but of course, gathering in large groups is now a big no-no. And so how on earth are we going to have those larger audiences or those large ensembles getting involved? Hi, Sherry from Grand Prairie. Good to see you here. Thank you very much. So we wanted to come up with a solution so that you could still do something. It's not the one that's going to replace everything we do in the future. It's not going to be the way of music festivals in the future. We have to know that and understand that music festivals are absolutely best if they are in person. You cannot replace the in-person experience. That being said, when we haven't got an opportunity to do the in-person experience, for whatever reason that may be, it could be that you have a large geographical region for your festival and therefore had some classes submit video entries anyway. Or it could be that you aren't allowed to do large gatherings, or you can't get access to any venues that would accept you because of the music playing scenario. Any of those things that come up, we are now trying to make it so that you don't have to worry about that anymore. And that's where the videos come in. And that's also where the photo releases come in. It's also to a certain extent where the sponsorships come in as well. So we're going to kind of go through each of these things and show you kind of what I've done in here. And as I go through this, I'm working with a sample software, or with the Sample Music Festival Suite website, which is kind of like yours, except it is filled with random data. So I'm hoping that all the data works out for the purposes of the demonstration. So the first thing, we got Nadine from St. John. Good to see you. Thank you very much for joining all the way. We're going from coast to coast now, ladies and gents. It's a fantastic thing. But we wanted to say thank you very much for jumping in. Let's go into this, shall we? So the first thing that I wanted to show you was the photo release waiver consent, the legal stuff. And so what I have done, and what we have done at Music Festival Suite, is we've made it so that when any person logs on to Music Festival Suite, they must provide a photo consent waiver release, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it the photo release forms. There's legalese in it. It's just too much for me to say, so I'm not going to say it all. So I will give you a quick demonstration as to what that looks like. Let's go here to that. Yes. Okay. So when a person is logging into Music Festival Suite, we're using my sample site. And we're using my fake profile in here with a whole bunch of my former students that are in it too, and that's okay. I've got that cleared up, by the way, so don't worry about it. When you log in, if you have not completed a photo consent release and waiver form anytime within the past year, then you will be required to submit that form before you can carry on into the rest of your profile. And this is for registrants. It's true for teachers, adjudicators, accompanists, volunteers, the whole works. Everybody has to do this. For students who are under the age of a majority, so 18 and under, or sorry, under 18, I should say, for those students, they should not be filling out their own photo consent release and waiver forms. So we've made it so that the parents have to fill it out for them. Likewise for groups. If there's a group entrant, it's usually the teacher who has the photo releases collected for that group already, and so it's the teacher who actually completes this form for them. So as you can see, for my lovely little profile, which is like I basically beefed up my profile to say that I'm a teacher, I'm an entrant, I'm a parent, I'm a adjudicator, just to make sure I can demonstrate everything on this fake profile that I've got going on here. And so you can see that I have a huge list of people that I'm providing the photo release and consent and waiver. And some of these are fake people that aren't actually my students, aren't actually my children, but like Bill Windsor is not my child. It's actually the other way around, but I've made it so that he's my child so I can demonstrate this. And each person can say, I do agree to this consent, or I do not agree to this consent. Hey, Camrose is online now too. That's cool. Thank you very much. So as people provide that consent, agree or I do not agree, that is actually placed in, that is actually recorded for you so you can actually see it in your profiles admin. Adult students, and actually thank you to actually Fuchsia out in Greater Victoria. She did find myself a little glitch in that I had made it so that adult students had to somehow provide themselves consent but couldn't. And so there was a little kink. We found the kink. It's now fixed. So thank you very much for catching that one. Appreciate your help with that. But what it is that adult students now provide themselves their own consent. So they don't have to worry about that. Basically it checks, the system checks to see if the person that's currently logging in is under 18 years of age. And if they are, then what it does is it sends a message saying, you can't provide consent, your parent has to do it. If you're over the age of 18, it doesn't ever give you that message, so it's not a big deal that way. Thank you for the question from Fuchsia. That was a good one. So I'm going to, for the purposes of this one, just give consent to all of the... Actually, you know what? I'm going to give no consent to the Pantasia Steel Pan Ensemble. They're not going to get committed. You know what? Neither is the Woodshedders, just so you guys can see how this looks. And so I submit those responses, and now I'm logged into my profile. Simple as that. What you guys see on the other end, so I'm now looking at the administrative portal. And you'll actually, a couple of quick things here, you'll notice that there's a couple of places that are, and actually I've now noticed there's a rename that I got to do an adjustment on, but I've kind of had to change some of the names of the titles here to make sure that they all fit on the screen. We're still in profiles, and you'll now see that there is a new option in here called photo releases. And so if you click on photo releases, you're going to see all of the people who have not completed the form at all. That's a lot of people on my lovely little fake sample website. And you'll also see the people who have provided consent and said, yes, I do give you permission to use my photos. You'll also see a special section here for those who have said, no, you are not allowed to use my photos and such. And then for people who have who filled out their forms, but it's been more than a year, they will show up in this expired photo release. So what Music Festival Suite does is force people every year to complete this photo release form so that you know, as a festival organizer, no matter what, your photo release consent and waiver forms are up to date. So it forces it. You don't have to worry about whether or not that you have to reset things or what have you. So less work for you, but still gives you all of the forms that you need. And you guys have been asking for these photo release consent and waiver forms for a very long time, and we're finally thankful that we could actually put that together for you. So happy days, we now have our photo releases online. The other thing that goes with, and so one thing I wanted to actually point out with that, back over here when we actually filled out that form in the first place, there is this, pardon me, there is this, the legalese, if you will, that goes with it. And it doesn't, now right now it says musicfestivalsuite.com. That's because that's the name of my sample website. What it'll actually do is it'll automatically populate your own festival organization, and not the festival name, the festival organization. So for example, pardon me just for a second. So just as an example, for Greater Victoria, the Greater Victoria Performing Arts Festival is the festival name, but the organization that operates it, if you think it's a society or an association, it'll actually say the society association name on there instead. But it will still be the same legalese for everybody. This is actually something that I got some legal advice on to make sure that I got the right stuff for this. And so this is a really good photo and release form that you can utilize and be confident that it's going to cover all your circumstances. So that covers that. The one other thing, what happens if you have a person who says, you know what, I need to change my photo release form. Something has happened and now I am actually able to provide consent, or I'm not able to provide consent. They've got a couple of options. One option, they can send you a message and say, hey, how do I reset this? Which is oftentimes what they're going to do. So if that's the case, you can either tell them how to do it in their own profiles, which is super easy, or you can just do it yourself. So let's show you how you could just simply do it yourself. The doing it yourself part is inside the list of profiles. So let's find, as an example, Joel Windsor. And Joel Windsor. And what you can do in Joel Windsor's profile is, notice here that it says photo release status, the consent has been provided, so that now shows up in your profiles. You can now edit this profile and reset that photo release form if you need to. So as soon as you click that update button, it's going to reset it. And as soon as it resets it, it is now saying, hey, look at that, it's incomplete. So Joel Windsor, when he goes back to try to log in again, here we go. We're going to log in as Joel Windsor with the fancy schmancy passwords. Okay, and there, it's not letting me back in because my consent has actually been reset by the festival. So you can reset anybody's consent if you would like. It's a one-on-one kind of thing. And so as soon as he submits it, he's back into his profile again. He, on the other hand, could do this instead of you if you don't want to have to do all that work. And you shouldn't have to. You're volunteers. They can take care of their own profiles. So in this case, they would go to edit their own profile, same as always. And as they edit their profile, they can have a button here that says, I'm going to reset my photo release. It's down here on the bottom, kind of behind that chat here. Let me get that out of the way so that you can see that. There we go. Okay, so reset the photo release right there. That right there will make it so that he now has to go back and provide the consent, and he can change it to whatever he wants it to be. And now it is updated. Simple as can be. And so that is the straightforward, simple way of dealing with photo consents. And that's all there is to it. I am going super fast. I haven't had any questions. Well, I have had a few questions, and I'm very glad of those questions because they've actually helped us find some things that we can improve. So if there's any questions that you have at this point, please feel free to share. I'm glad to see so many people jumping on from across the country. It's nice to see us all get together in this way. That photo consent actually also has an impact on the video system, which I'm going to get to in just a sec. In the meantime, I'm going to switch gears for a brief moment. The gear I'm going to switch to first is sponsors. One of the things that we've realized is that when you're going to be online with a lot of your work, particularly including doing registrations, profiles, managing photo consents, scheduling, all of this stuff, your parents are spending a lot of time on the computer, and your teachers and your students, they're all spending a lot of time on the computer for your festival just to get organized. This is a really great opportunity for you to generate some income, and that festivals are most definitely going to need, especially considering all the weirdness that is happening. If you don't have a venue that you're going to be doing your festival at, how are you going to get your sponsors a little bit of extra playtime and give them what they deserve? Well, we're giving you a little bit of an option on that now. So the way that looks, first of all, in your subscription admin, you'll see a new option at the very bottom called Show Sponsors on Profile Pages, and that is a yes. Now, in order for that to work, though, in order for those, and I got to move that so you can see that again. There we go. Okay. So in order for that to work, this yes thing to work, you actually need to have some sponsors put in there. So what this is going to do is it's going to put in a sponsor's advertisement on your page. This does not track how much money they're giving you. That's not what this is for. Not yet, at any rate. So if you want to, let's get into, you need to actually give an administrative user access to the sponsors section. And so, as you can see now, one of the options in your admin users is sponsors admin. So I'm going to give myself read write possibilities on those. I can't remember which profile I'm in, so I'm just doing both. And so now that I've done that, I should be able to see, there we go, sponsors, ta-da! Okay, so I can go into sponsors. And as you can see, there are no sponsors at all put in here quite yet. So I'm going to put in a new sponsor. I'm going to see if I can even remember where I put that file. So a new sponsor, here we go. Oh, actually, it's going to come up with a random base simple picture that can be the advertisement, and that's the size. It's 720 pixels by 90 pixels, and then this other information is just to kind of keep track for you. Banner link, so when somebody clicks on that sponsor, where is it going to go? What's the sponsor's name? That's mostly just for you. And then active. Now, if you don't want the sponsor to show up on the profiles pages, but you do want the other ones to show up, then you can simply make it inactive and it'll stop popping up on the screens. So I'm going to save this lovely little sponsor here. And now I have one. Now, it also asks you to upload the image that you want to use. And as you can see, 728 pixels by 90 pixels. That's an AdWords size thing. It's a standard apparently in the industry. For those of you who are familiar with AdWords or Google Ads, that's a standard size. So your organizations that you're having as your sponsors may already have something drawn up. If not, then they can draw something up instead. And so on and so forth. So all you have to do is choose the file and upload it, and it will automatically make that happen. So now that we have a sponsor in there, you know what, I better finish this job. Let's see if I can find that sponsor's image that I once had handy and ready to go. Am I smart enough to remember where I saved that thing, though? Let's see here. So many of the files, all of the files. I'm not going to remember where I saved that. Darn. Okay, well, I'm going to have to do some hunting here. Let's see if I can find it. If I put it in there, then maybe forgive me for this one. I thought I had this one still fresh in my head, and apparently I was out to lunch. Let's see here. Was I smart enough to put it in there? No. And again, no. Wow, I don't remember where I saved this thing. That's unfortunate. That's yeah, I'm going to have to go hunting, I guess, somehow for that. In any case, thank you for your patience. I'm going to see if I can just go like that, and let's see actually if I go in there. There was a problem. Yeah, it didn't like that. So let's try this again. Do I have my sponsor? Okay, it has the image in there. That's my fault for not remembering where I saved the file. That's totally just a me thing. Look at this. This is the embarrassed face. So if you have your file ready to go, it can simply be uploaded. You can also edit the sponsor at any time. You can change the banner image at any time. I may just try to do that just because as soon as I figure out where I saved the file on my computer. So that's that. And then you'll see a list of all of the sponsors in here. What does this mean for the people who are in their profiles? Doesn't matter what page they go on. Now that sponsor's advertisement shows up on their profiles as well. Now let's say you have 20 sponsors in here. Great. Every single sponsor is going to get the same amount of playtime. We don't wait one versus to have this many times shown up, this many times shown up. We don't say this is one sponsor per page. We're not doing any of that yet. We're just kind of keeping it nice and simple to kind of ease us all into how this is going to look and see how well this particular opportunity for sponsors is received by you. If you decide that this ends up being a really great thing for your festival, that it's a great way of generating some income, then by all means send on some feedback to us. Let us know, yes, this is working for us. We want to see this as an improvement in sponsors, and we'll put that into our wish list of items that we seem to have every year. So that is the sponsors, and that's a really simple system for it right now, and we want to keep it simple so that you can, because there's already going to be plenty of new things that you guys are going to have to deal with this year as it is. Simple is better sometimes. So there you go. That is your sponsors management. Now, if you don't want your sponsors to show up at all, you don't have to do that. You can actually simply go to your subscription admin and turn it off. No, I don't want this to show the sponsors on the profile pages. And now it's not going to. And so when I go to, as a user, to any part of my profile, now that advertisement isn't there. Keeps it nice and simple and easy to manage those sponsors for you. That's your sponsorships. And you'll have to discuss with your boards, of course, how you could possibly utilize that to your benefit. What I know from my local festivals here in my more immediate region is they oftentimes have banners that they put up in their venues. But if you don't have a venue, if you don't have a large space that you can put these thank yous to your sponsors up, this might be the way that you can do that. All right, so that is your sponsors. Let's get into the big one now. We're going to get into the videos. So back in our subscription admin, one of the things you may have noticed here is this videos status. Well, I'm going to quickly adjust this just for a second, or just point out to you what can happen in it. And we're going to move that so you can see. Okay, right near the bottom there's this lovely videos status. And so inside that, there's a place you can say, you know what, I don't want my festival to be doing videos. We don't want to even let the people know that it's a possibility. That's perfectly great, especially if you have the opportunity to do in-person festivals. They're totally the best way to go. That's what we would encourage you to try for, if at all possible. If it becomes impossible and you need to use videos for whatever reason, we have the options. So the first one is the accept registrant submissions. So this is something that you can turn on after your registration period is done. So let's say, for example, you decide that your 2021 festival season is going to go 100% video. That would be a heck of an undertaking, but it can be made very easy with this. So what you would do is you do your regular registration period as you normally do. Registration open, registration close, to be announced date deadlines, late registration periods. All of that is going to be exactly the same way as it always has been. Once your registration period is done and you are ready to do it, you can then tell your registrants, okay, it's now time for you to link in your videos. And that's when you would set it from no videos to accept registrant submissions. What that's going to do what that's going to do is it's going to now allow people to go into their registrations and add video codes from YouTube. So now we're sticking to YouTube because it is one of the most universally accepted platforms, particularly in North America, but also starting to get so across the world as well. And it's super easy to work with for festivals and for individual users. Now, the videos don't have to be done by the festivals. The videos can be done instead by the users themselves. Teachers who have choirs can probably do their own videos inside their school. Or if you wanted to, as a festival, to provide a little bit more flexibility for your registrants, you can get a single venue with a video camera and a piano and what all else you need in there. And you can have a person on site who is just going to take a video of a person and at a scheduled time. Then the next person comes in, then the next person comes in. Of course, all the disinfection procedures you're supposed to do. Thank you, COVID-19. You can get that all taken care of, and that one person can just upload it straight from the recordings. So all of these are possibilities that are fairly straightforward and simple thanks to YouTube, and we make it as simple as we possibly can to keep it in a nice and tidy space in Music Festival Suite as well. And so now that you've set the allow registrant submissions in musicfestivalsuite.com's profile pages, when a person goes to have a look at their registrations, remember registration period's already done, closed, late registrations are dealt with. Now you can actually get in. You can actually see, of course, all the registrations that are possible. For every registration, there is a possibility that you could include a link. And of course, you'll also be able to see the video immediately connected to those. And these videos only show up if you have said, allow the registrants to submit videos. So now, previously it was just you click on the registration, you'll see the information for the registration, that's it. Now you see the information for the registration and the video as well. So let's say, for example, that I want to choose a different video. So I'm going to go find a video here real quick. Let's go to YouTube. Let's say I'm going to use my doing the registrants video. Let's go to my videos here. And yeah, creating and using profiles. That would be a good video. And I've got a demonstration as to what codes they need. So if you, whoa, that's loud. All right, let's get rid of that. If you want to know what codes they need to link in, there is a video that I've just about finished producing. I was hoping to get it done in time for this demonstration, but I didn't quite get it done. But it'll be up by the end of the day. That shows how they can find the codes. But the easiest way is just to find the embed codes and copy the link. Copy that video code straight out of there. And then inside their profiles, they can click on this lovely little video camera, see the video that's already connected to it right now, which it's the first video that's going to be connected to every registration. The automatic one that's being connected to it is going to be the instructional video on how to actually link this. And then they can simply paste in their video code. There we go. That's the video code. And once they click the change video link, huzzah, their video, whatever video it is that they have uploaded, will show up. And that will now be what they see inside the registrations lists. So when they go back in here, it's thinking, and there it is. There's the video. Simple, straightforward. That's the way that we want it to look. And now there is a limitation here, and the limitation is based on the users themselves. Sometimes this button here will actually show up with a slash through the video camera instead. The reason it would do that is because somebody attached to that registration has not given consent for photos, film, audio, or video to go. So say in this particular case, Joel Windsor did provide consent for him and for the NDC Grade 7 Concert Band to submit videos. Let's see if I can find one that hasn't done that. Let's see here. No, it looks like they've all done that, so I don't have a really great example. Actually, those ones all have it too. So in any case, it will actually come up with a little slash here, and then it won't let them actually give a video for it, meaning that the photo release consent and waiver forms, they're not just for your own information. They also protect their privacy within Music Festival Suite as well. The adjudicators are a different story altogether, but we're going to get to the adjudicators in just a moment. So we're going to close that off a little bit, and now I'm going to show you how does this help you guys out on your side on the administrative portal. Well, you can find those exact same videos in a variety of locations. So remember, we were talking about Joel Windsor and his awesome NDC Grade 7 Concert Band. Here we go. So if you look along the registrations now, you're now going to see a couple of video links. So you can actually see, and I did this one here for demonstration purposes earlier, but you're going to see these lovely little video cameras beside the registrations here. So if you want, in that video camera is simply an indicator that those registrations have had a video submission submitted. And you can click on it to see that video submission for that matter as well. Simple and straightforward. That goes for all of those video submissions that ever come up. So that's in Profiles Admin. You can also see it in your Registrations Admin as well. So as an example, it was in the elementary school band that we did this. You could now look at all those lovely little tags. So this one, apparently something needs to be owed. There's a participants list attached to it. There's a comments page attached to it. Here's the video link right there, videos. So this will actually take you straight to YouTube so you can see it instead. But you can still see those video YouTube links very comfortably in there, okay? So all of that is possible in your scheduling. When you do do your scheduling in whatever way that ends up looking, I actually don't even remember where that was, so I'm going to see if I can find it. What class was that? That class was, 10,000. So let's go to the scheduling and let's do a class search. Has 10,000 been scheduled? And it has. It was scheduled at the church on March 1st. Okay, so let's view that schedule at the church on March 1st. Marvelous. Now inside, so this is when we're scheduling. There is, of course, the roster button, as you've always been familiar with. That lovely roster button will also provide you with a video link. Oh, that's, there we go. That is actually a little glitch. So that video link should be appearing there, and I'll make sure that that's corrected before the end of the day for that matter, because that should have already shown up there. But there is a flag showing a bunch of other things are happening with this particular registration, like it hasn't been paid yet, things like that. So inside all of those locations, you should be able to find links to those videos that have been submitted, if you need to. The adjudicators are a different story. So here's where the adjudicators come in. The adjudicators, now we're not using class admin anymore. The words that we're using is called syllabus. And the reason for that is because we were running out of space to put all of our options up here. And, of course, right now, festival classes cannot be altered from the opening of registrations to the close of registrations. So I'm just going to change my registration period so you can actually see the full functionality here. Aha, okay, now we're back to the class admin. Okay, so let's go have a look at those ensemble classes. I think that was a concert band class. Yes, it was. Okay, so as you can see, there are now many options, the same options as before. There's one new one that I'm going to show a bit in a second. It's called the max entry fee up there, but we also have a whole bunch of new switches in here. The adjudication video link and then the allow video broadcasts. Now, what this means, and we also have to recognize, adjudicators are an entirely different animal altogether because many of them belong to professional organizations that do not permit adjudication responses to be recorded, whether it's in person or not. And so if that's the case, we still have to respect the fact that the adjudicators don't want their responses to be available publicly. And so they are going to be given the permission or the authority to adjust that for themselves. You can also do it though too. So let's say, for example, this one is adjudicated by this, and of course that's me. So of course it's fake. Don't worry about me judging my own bands. Okay, so when you decide that you want to let your adjudicators videos be shown, you can allow the broadcast of the videos. You can also put in the adjudicator's video code right there as well if you wanted to, so that it automatically does it. Now that means that would happen if the adjudicator sent you the video code instead of them just putting it in themselves. They can actually put it in themselves. You can put it in, they can put it in. And here's kind of how it looks when they do that. So pieces you're adjudicating. So adjudicators will see this kind of a list, no names attached, just a list of the performers, and for whatever classes of video have been submitted, they'll see those videos that have been submitted, so they can watch the video. Then they can record their own video in whatever tool they want to use for it. They can record their own video responses for the entire class. It's not one person at a time, it's the entire class. So they would go through this particular person's performance, the next person's performance, the next person's performance, all for the same class. and at the end of which, of course, still filling out the same papers as always, still filling out all of the same paperwork as they normally would have if they were in an in-person class or in-person festival, and then record their video responses if you as a festival want to give them the opportunity to do that. If they record their own festival classes, they will be able to say, I want my adjudication video publicly available. Now, publicly versus privately. Here we go. This is a fun one. If they choose to allow their video to be publicly available, oh, and of course that's because I changed the subscription admin. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. So I hit that toggle button. Let's go back to that and I'll show you how that looked again. Okay. So this lovely little toggle button. This will give the adjudicators the option to allow their videos to go publicly or not publicly. So if it's not public, it means that only the people who registered in that class will be able to see that video response. Only them. Their teachers will also be able to see it, mind you, and so will their accompanists and parents. But only those people who have registered in that class will be allowed to see the video response. There is another portal that we're looking at making available for people that will allow all of the videos to be publicly accessible, and by public I mean not just people who have profiles with your festival. I mean the wider public, the whole wide world if they wanted to. That is something that we're looking at getting set up for you as well. So the adjudicators can actually turn that on. We'll look at that now. Oh, hang on, that's because I reset things. There we go. On or off. If they turn it on, they can put in their code. Okay, so let's say we're going to put that lovely little video code. This is my adjudicator's response. I'm updating that video link, and huzzah, there's my adjudicator's video. Okay, so adjudicators have control over the videos going up onto your website if you want to give them that access. The last option here, so that was for allowing registrant submissions. And the last bit here that goes with that is showing to registrants only. So there's a section here where you can actually change it to show to registrants only. And when you do that, what that's going to do is going to, on the next load, give every performer an option to watch the festival. And so they can watch all of the submitted registrations for a particular class. Now this is fun because this is actually put in order by way of classes. You can also just jump from one class to the next. As you can see, we've got got one video submitted here for a flute solo. That was an example I did earlier on. And then of course the elementary school band that I did. Now, right now, we're not letting the adjudicators videos on through. But you can watch every single registration that is submitted a video, one right after the other, all on the same page. And that's the watch the festival option, which only, watch the festival option, which only appears if you set it so, which you can't see there. There we go. Video status. Show to registrants only. That's the option that turned that watch the festival feature on. Okay. All right. So that was a lot of information. So just going to take a quick moment here and kind of connect back with you guys. I have a few people on here right now, and I want to say thank you guys very much for joining me. And so I want to give you that show my appreciation by way of a quick little draw. And so I'm going to make sure that you guys are all still kicking around here, so get you guys to find that chat window, and I am going to get you to put your name in for a draw for a free sponsors ad design. So what that means is that I will design a sponsors advertisement for your festival for free. So if you have a sponsor that you want to have inside your festival recognized by way of that new sponsors feature, sometimes it costs a little bit of money for the sponsors to create those ads or what have you. I am going to offer one and only one free sponsors design from my graphic design experience. So the way that you do that is you're going to enter in the chat. Okay, and the way that looks is you are going to type the word. Let's see here. We're going to go with sponsor. So there's the sponsor right there. That's the example. So if you want to get in on this and see if you can get a free sponsors advertisement out of it, then just type in the chat the word sponsor. And I'm going to flip over So I'm going to switch over gears for a couple of moments. We're going to see a break in the video here, but I want you to type into those chats. This is just going to give me a chance to refill my coffee, and then I'll be right back with you. So here we go. Type in sponsors into the chat, sponsor into the chat, and I will put you in for that draw. Woohoo! See you in a second. All right, and we're back. So we have a little bit of a draw going on here right now. It's kind of, you're going to learn a little bit more about Joel Windsor here through this, I think. So as this moment, the people, people who I've seen put in for these this prize is Fuchsia out of Greater Victoria, Megan Wittig, Sherry Nazetkin, Caitlin Kelly. And then there is, and there was actually a question up earlier on, which I will answer in a second. So don't worry, Sherry, I will get to that question and Fuchsia's new one as well. But we're going to deal with this prize here first. So as I see here, we've got Fuchsia, Megan, Sherry, and Caitlin who have all put their names in for their festivals to have a free design for a sponsor's advertisement. And so you're going to find out a little bit more about Joel Windsor. So if you have never seen one of these things before, this is what we call a 4-sided dice, or a D4, especially if you happen to be a Dungeons & Dragons fan like me. So I'm going to use this, and so Fuchsia is a 1, Megan is a 2, Sherry is a 3, and Caitlin is a 4. So here we go. We're going to roll this out. Right now, my son, who is also a big fan of Dungeons & Dragons, is kind of giggling at me. All right, and the roll ended up being a 2. So the winning person for receiving the sponsor's advertisement, Megan Wittig. That's out of the Lethbridge District Speech and Music Arts Festival. I didn't say that right, but the Lethbridge Festival is going to get that free sponsorship. So thank you very much again, and I think I might actually have something else for you a little bit later on, so don't go too far. Let's answer some questions here first. The first question was, okay, will there be print pages to add to our manuals with all of this information? There will be. I wanted to make sure I got this stuff out so you guys could experience it a bit first. That's why I'm actually doing this video, is because I wanted to make sure you had a quick and easy resource that you could use. That's mostly because it takes a little bit of time to make these manuals, and I have a lot of updating I got to do. So that is actually my next big job, is to get those videos and that manual completely finished up for you guys well before September hits. Has to, because that's when I'm going back to teaching too. So yes, there will be print pages, and there will be, and actually the manual may see a major update. So just as a heads up to you, that is coming down the pipe for sure. Second question here was from Fuchsia. Where will the Watch Festival option for the public display? This is one I'm holding off on. I have not made the public display one quite yet, because I want to also keep an eye on how much data is being transferred and how much server load I have. The last thing I want is for Music Festival Suite to become so slow and cumbersome that it doesn't work for you guys. And so I'm holding off just ever so slightly on that public thing, mostly because I want to see how many of you actually want to use that public portal where the World Wide Web option is going to be before I put too much emphasis on it. Besides that, we're not going to be ready for any of that until for earliest festival to be ready for this will probably be January if you stick to the same timelines as you've always had. That being said, it's really easy for me to make this public portal, so if there's a huge outcry of support saying, yeah, we totally want these videos to be available on the World Wide Web for everybody, then yes, I'm going to do it. In fact, if that's something that you put up on the chat window right now, that's good feedback from me. If that's something you want, put it in the chat. I'd love to see that information. In terms of the answer to that, the other challenge that goes with that is that we would actually have to create a new subdomain for every festival for that, which there's a little bit of an expense involved in that. So for example, right now, if you want people to go to your local festival to make their profiles, they go to something like gvpaf.musicfestivalsuite.com. They also go to or that was for Greater Victoria, or for Lethbridge, I think it's Leth MSF or something like that. Then we are looking at that as that's your login for your users. Then you have your own login web subdomain for your administrative portal, like gvpaf admin.musicfestivalsuite.com. In order to make the public portal, it would have to be something like gvpaf public.musicfestivalsuite.com or something like that. We're not really sure how that's going to look, and so that's another reason why we're going to hold off on it. So I see, Nadine's jumped on. Fantastic. I'm sorry, Nadine, that you missed out on that draw. Don't worry. I have now made the decision. I'm totally going to do another one. Okay, so Fuchsia. We're considering the revenue for admissions as well, so we may need a way for it to be on our websites. I totally get that. And that's the other element that goes with this, is if we're looking to make that public section have a bit of a revenue generator option available to you, that's going to take a little bit more effort on our end to do that. So that's great feedback for us to have. Thank you for telling us that. It'll give us a little bit of a better understanding as to what we need to consider when we create that public portal. Cool. So we have gone through on this video at this point in time photo release forms. We've gone through videos, I think, and sponsors. Yeah, we've covered all of that stuff. There isn't a lot left to cover, frankly. There's only the one final little addition, and that is in the syllabus. So inside your class, what used to be called your class admin and is now called your syllabus. Oh, I keep on forgetting that I've changed my deadlines on things. Hang on 1 second. All right, now you'll actually be able to see everything again. So we're going to go back in here again. Inside your syllabus, you're going to now notice a new column for everything, and that column is the max entry fee. Now, actually, I'm not in a good one to use as an example. Let's go into ensembles, and let's go. Sure, winds and percussion. That sounds good. So inside, with those festival classes that are for groups, we have that new registration fee calculation mechanism that we introduced last year, where you could have either a flat rate for your entry fee, or if not a flat rate for your entry fee, you could go for a calculated fee based off of the number of people that are in your group. So we had a lower group size number. We also had a Nadine, I apologize so profusely. I'm making sure that you got in there. You must have quite the lag behind everybody else's stream right now. So I am not ignoring you. I totally know you're there. I'm sorry, Nadine, that you missed that last one. It must have just been a really wicked lag. So I'm going to make sure that you're in the next one for sure, okay? Okay, so apologies for the digression. Okay, so so right now, previous to this year, the group rate could have been, you set the lower group size number, so a group up to the size of the group of 13 or less, no matter what, they're going to have a base rate, and then every person past 13 is going to be an extra $1 or extra $2 or what have you. We had all that built in. The one thing we didn't do is put an upper limit on it, an upper ceiling, and so we have now actually done that. That's the maximum entry fee. It only works for groups. So say, for example, you have your system set so that a group of 15 pays $15, a group of 15 pays $20, and then every person after that pays an additional 50 cents. But you want to set it so that that is true up to 75 people in the group, then you can actually max it out now. And that's what that new max entry fee is. And so as an example here, this particular recorder ensemble, we're going to edit this here right now. We're not going to go with the flat rate entry fee. Instead, we're going to go with a base entry fee of $20, a per person rate of 50 cents. Ooh, I guess I got to put the 0 in front of that too. There we go. For each person in a group over 15 people in this recorder choir, to a maximum of $75 for the registration. Now, that'd be a big recorder choir. That's like 100 and, oh my gosh, people. But that could be a way that you set it up, is that it's going to have a base amount and a 50 cent, and of course you can set these up. Base amount, 50 cents per person for every person over 15, up to a maximum of $75. Makes it far more versatile for you to be able to set the fees however you want them to be. Okay. Nadine's question. Before I forget, what payment is required for continuing for 2021? At this point in time, as my understanding, Kathleen has actually sent out those invoices to whatever email address we have on file. If you did not receive that invoice, it might be that you're just checking the wrong email address, or we're sending it to the wrong one. If you want us to update that, feel free to send me a message off to support@musicfestivalsuite.com. I'll happily get that updated for you. But those invoices should be in your possession. And you can pay that however that invoice works. There's PayPal and there's check or what have you. We have sent those out early. We don't like to try to say, hey, by the way, you got to pay. And the deadline is like October 31st. We know this too, but we send it out early because we also know you're volunteers and you might not meet again for another month. And so if that's the case, we wanted to make sure that you had all of the paperwork in play well in advance. So that's your, if you don't have those invoices, send me an email. I'll make sure that we get the right email address for those invoices. We're not changing the price, by the way. There's no price changes, even though we're adding this video feature to it, which may have a little bit of an impact on our server load. We're still interested in making sure that festivals are viable for many, 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 many moons. And so that's why we're providing you with this opportunity for income by way of the sponsors. And it's also a reason why we're not going to be changing our rates for the foreseeable future. $600 per year. And for those of you who are doing first year ever, then it's $250 to do the startup cost. But if you've already done that, you don't ever have to do it again. It's just simply $600 and we are done. There we go. So that's that. I think we've got pretty close to everything covered. This is where I get to have an opportunity to answer any last questions that may or may not have to do with anything that we've listed here. So I've done the I've done the photo release forms. I've done the sponsors. I've done the videos and how those are going to work, and I've also done the new maximum entry fee for groups. That's pretty much the major updates that we've done. Are there any questions? And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit here and enjoy my musical mug coffee as you type in any questions that come your way from any purpose or thought. And then I'm actually going to talk to you about two other things that I find very interesting and encourage you to just stick around for those as well. There's going to be a prize here yet. Again, drawn one more time. Okay, so while I'm waiting for some questions to kind of be put up, if there are any to be had, I'm going to mention a couple of things from my research recently. So one of the things that I do is not just Music Festival Suite, of course, I'm also a high school music teacher. So I've been paying particularly close attention to what research is coming out with regards to COVID-19 in particular and live musical performing arts playing. There is a great study being completed right now out of the University of Colorado and University of Maryland, kind of a collaborative effort there, and they've done some fantastic work. There's some preliminary results that have already been released, and the great news that is coming out of that is that, synopsized, is that just like everything else, if you have the proper protective measures in place, live performances can happen. There's some limitations to it. but they can happen. For example, there are some things that if for human beings, we need to be masking ourselves if we want to be preventing any spread. It's proven by way of science. We're just going to run with that. It's also true now and proven by way of these preliminary results from this University of Colorado and University of Maryland study that you can do the same thing with wind instruments and with singing, as well as the theatrical arts for that matter too. So all of those, they are actually studying monologues to see how much aerosols and droplets are being produced by that. It's a fantastic study and it's being very comprehensive, and they've got a lot of support in getting it done in a timely fashion as well. There are some things that are limitations to it, of course, that you need to have a well-ventilated space, and they describe what well-ventilated looks like and what all the science and the nuts and bolts are behind it. They also talk about how masking works best, and that includes putting masks over top of bells of trombones, or simply wearing a mask over your face while you're performing. All of those are things that they're covering inside that research. They're also covering things like how much space and how much time needs to be in between performers to make sure that whatever aerosols may exist dissipate appropriately. And so all of that research is being developed right now. As I come across some hard and final results out of that study, I will happily share that with you. So you do not need to worry about keeping your eyes open on those pieces of research. I'm going to be sharing that with you because I know that it's exceptionally important to the work that you do. It's just as it is to the work that teachers and the musicians themselves are doing. So keep that. Do not worry about having to keep your eyes open on the research. Let me take that part on for you. I should also be clear that there's a couple of other pieces of research that are being produced right now. They're not just out of the United States. However, I kind of like the idea of the research that's coming out of the United States, considering how prominent COVID-19 spread has been going on in that country. They're being very particular about making sure everything is very clear in their results. Caitlin Kelly says, it would be convenient to have more than one method of payment that can be recorded. Thoughts? Perhaps I will ask for a little bit more detail on that one. It would be convenient to have more than one method of payment. I'm wondering if you are talking about PayPal versus not PayPal for your users, or are you talking about for festivals who are doing subscriptions? I'm not really sure what you're asking for, so let me know what you're referring to specifically there, and I'll happily provide that response for you. The other thing I'm going to suggest, or that I'm going to share with you, is okay, I'm enjoying. I get the comments in the live chat before they actually make it up on the stream out to you guys. So it's there's this fun little delay, and I think I've learned just how big that delay can be thanks to Nadine, and with my greatest apologies to Nadine as well. I think that we've got that quite nicely figured out now, though. So I tell you what I'm going to do, because I still have one other thing that I'm going to share with you, and that I'm going to actually start off that next draw for you. So same thing as before, we're going to get you to put a word into the chat, and that word in the chat is going to be, let's see here, what's a good word for this one this time? Let's make the word one of my favorite ones, because it means basically, it's the musical term for working well together. It is contrapuntal. Oh yeah, if you can type that one out, you definitely are going to be worthy of getting this prize. So if you see, oh, I see, some people dropped off checks at your home. Thanks, Caitlin. So I'm going to answer that one in a second, but let's put the words in. If you want to have and the same prize as before, a free sponsorship advertisement design for your festival. Forgive me, but I am going to say that Megan is not eligible this time because she's already won one. So let's get everybody else to put in the word contrapuntal, and we'll get prize drawn for them. Nadine, I'm going to automatically put you in because I missed you in the last one, but you're still welcome to type in the word contrapuntal anyway to make sure that I keep track. So Caitlin, in answer to your question, some people have dropped off checks at your home. Great, you have the capacity. I don't advertise this, though, mostly because I don't want your users to be doing this. I actually want them to be paying through PayPal. It makes your treasurer's life, makes your life way easier. So if they're willing to keep paying on PayPal, that's the preference. But let me demo for you if they don't want to do that. Let's see if I can remind myself how to do that. It's been a long time since I've done that. Okay, here we go. So, in your registrations, there is a place where there is the paid, not paid section. So we're going to go into the paid, not paid section. There's a few registrations I've already got in here, and you can see that they have not been paid. If you click on the not paid beside them, you can actually enter a check number and say, this is how much was paid, this was how much the transaction fee is, how much the late registration fee is, processing fee if there was one. You can put all that information in. Now, it does need to match, of course, the entry fee, however that worked. So in this particular case, the total registration fee was $55. It's not letting me change that. Why is, it's not letting me change it because apparently for this particular person, whoever it is that's supposed to be paying that fee is supposed to be paying a lot more money than that. And so it looks to me like they've actually got a lot more in there. So, but that is where you can actually enter that. You can also go into the late registrations section, which is not showing up because we don't have the right deadlines right now. But if you don't want them to drop off the checks, I get it. But if you just have those people who are absolutely resistant to utilizing PayPal, despite the fact that it is among the most scarce situations in the world, then we have to have an option. And so this is the option: is to go to the not paid section and type in and enter the check number. It covers all of the registrations that are attached to them all at once at this point in time. We are looking to also try to make that accounts system a little bit more, I'm going to call it, give it more finesse, because at one point in time we actually had, and we're still trying to figure out how this works with PayPal. PayPal has been very challenging to help us figure the solution to this issue. But the issue is, if you have a person who is responsible for paying for more than 15 registrations, Music Festival Suite sends all the information off, but it sends a lot of information to PayPal, and PayPal apparently can't handle it all, which is unusual because it handles it for many other organizations. So we are trying to figure out a way of getting around that. And so we're going to try and develop some more finesse in that so that you don't have to worry about that one teacher who has 75 students registering 2 pieces each having massive problems because PayPal won't work with us very well. So we are going to have that one solved here for you too. There was a couple of issues where that popped up last year. One in Red Deer, I think Greater Victoria had it as well. I believe New Brunswick even had it at one point in time too. So we know that it's there, and we are going to be making sure that that one is solved. It's not going to come out with a great big flashy announcement. It's just going to be a simple, hey, we've upgraded this, it works better now. Let's see here. We've got a whole bunch of contrapuntals on here. Let's see here. We've got 1, 2, 3, and of course Nadine is still in there. But I'm going to go for just a little bit longer. Make sure that that everybody has a chance to put the word contrapuntal. The spelling doesn't matter. The capitalization doesn't matter. If you've just put in something that looks like contrapuntal, I am good with it. So, last bit. Music Festival Suite prides itself on working in an inclusive way. So you'll notice that there is nothing gender specific inside anything that Music Festival Suite has designed. There is complete gender neutrality in everything. We are encouraging local and provincial festival organizations to look at their syllabus and do the same to make sure that all students, not just those who identify as either a binary male or female, but all students have the capacity and feel welcomed in the music festival world because there are many musicians out there who deserve to have their amazing work shared, but don't feel confident doing it because there are a couple of places inside our syllabi that don't let them feel welcomed. For example, boys choirs versus girls choirs or something to that effect. So we are definitely wanting to make sure that we encourage that. We've actually sent messages off to a couple of provincial organizations to look at their syllabus for that. And it is because of our value of inclusive music education. So you'll notice that is going to be the case for Music Festival Suite always. And so you do not have to worry about any of those kinds of concerns, considering the current climates, especially in terms of social, of our social responsibility. For that matter, we would encourage festivals who have who do not have opportunities to celebrate First Nations or Indigenous Métis Inuit music, to do so as a way of working towards truth and reconciliation, as well as there's a plethora of music that has been used for social purposes in the past. For example, music for Black Lives as one possible, but not the only, because of course there are plenty of other issues that have happened in the past, that we would encourage festivals to also encourage by way of their syllabus or by way of simply advertising possibilities. Again, all of you guys are already doing incredible work for all of our learning music students, our budding amateur musical professionals, if you will. For me, I am so thankful that you guys exist in this world to make all these possibilities for our students. The only thing I'm doing at this point in time is encouraging that even though we might not have even realized it, we sometimes may have been doing something that has prevented somebody from wanting to be involved simply by saying boys or something to that effect. And that's something that I'm hoping every festival can be reflective on and make it so that even more kids feel more confident using our festival systems. I see 1, 2, 3, and 4 people with the word contrapuntal on. Let's do this draw. Let's do this now. Okay, so here's how I'm going to do it. I got Fuchsia on number 1. I've got Sherry on number 2. I've got Caitlin on number 3, and I've got Nadine on number 4. Let's see here. My lovely Dungeons and Dragons four-sided dice comes out with a 3 this time, a number 3. And so that one was Caitlin Kelly who gets it this time around. So Caitlin and, of course, Megan, I'll be contacting you guys later on today with regards to these sponsorship advertisements that we may do, that we'll be doing for you for free. And as a side note to that, if I can do these things at all, then I can certainly for free for you and offer them to them for you for free. I can also do them for you outside of freeness if needs be. I would encourage, of course, you to connect with your sponsors and say, hey, I'm sure you've got an advertisement we can stick on here. Why don't you just send that our way? Or maybe you have a volunteer who's got some graphic design experience of their own, or maybe even a school who happens to have a graphic design class of some sort that you could solicit those students to do some work for you. Those are plenty of really great free ways of getting things done. But in a pinch, I'm here. Let me know. I would be quite happy to help you out with that. That pretty much brings us to the end of this webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. I am keeping track of all of these chat questions. There are some great questions in here, some great things that we can use to improve Music Festival Suite going forward. And know that I've got your back. I'm here with you on this. I don't get a chance to say this to you on a regular basis because, of course, I mean, this is my studio. I see these 4 walls. In my classroom, those are what I say. I don't get to see you in person, but I want you all to know how much I value you. You guys are extremely important human beings in the world of music education, sometimes undervalued, and that's not fair. You deserve all of the accolades in the world. You are fantastic people for putting your time and effort forward. I was heartbroken when we couldn't actually get that to happen for all of our students this past year, and we will not let it happen again. Thank you guys very much for all of your time and all of your effort and for sharing your Friday morning, afternoon with me. I really appreciate all that you do. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful rest of your summer, guys. I love it, and get some more sun. But what you don't see is I've got a particularly angry sunburn underneath this, so I'm going to try and get another layer on that sunburn sometime soon here. Thanks again, guys, for joining us. Have a great, 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 great day.